Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time, a Wave original. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. It is that time of week where we have a guest join us, coming to us from The Ringer, from Chicago, Illinois. I just realized, man, The Ringer, boy, y'all racking up the brothers these days, Jason Goff. I stopped and thought about it. Between Van and you and the homie Joel, y'all got, a black hater along with you two guys?
Shout out to Joel. That pod is outstanding. Him and Tate Frazier and Van Lathan doing college football stuff, and he does the press box. But yeah, man, we corner in the market. It's good over here. We have a good time. We don't have to worry about people hovering over you. You can say what you want. It's a good time right now. Good time over at the Ringer.
And I've talked to Joel a little bit about this, but I actually think having Joel and Van do that podcast with Tate or not Tate is a bigger deal than people realize.
Yes, sir.
At my last job, I spent many years asking, hey, man, how can I get involved with the college football? And it became clear to me the people I was talking to didn't think it fit. Or my favorite was, I didn't know Bomani liked college football. You ever heard my voice? I'm from Texas.
Scott report.
Yeah. Like, why would you think I don't? But it's a thing that people have that for whatever reason, college football is seen as like this exclusive, like fiefdom of Southern white men.
And that was not my experience when I went down to Atlanta for the first time to go work.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you want to find yourself some true blue college football fans who like don't mess with people from the other side on some real turf war shit. Yeah. Go talk to people in New Orleans. Go talk to people in Atlanta. Go talk to people in Houston. Go talk to people in the Carolinas. It's part of the DNA. It's part of the blood.
We from the same place.
Right.
Right. It's two things. One, we from the same place. And two, for better or worse, this is just how it went, man. Integration decimated a lot of these black institutions. And so HBCU football now, like you go to Mississippi, for example, and black folks are still into HBCU football like it's 1963 because a lot of things in Mississippi are like it's 1963. I don't make the rules. I'm just telling you what it is, right? But once you decimate ours, everybody want to love the crib. Everybody want to say they love the place they from. And the way you do, like get involved in the place you from, or you wind up your cousin go play at insert place here or whatever it is. But like, we still there. And people absolutely 100% cannot grasp the idea. So I give a shout to Bill on that one for having those two cats. And if you ever talk to Van Lathan about, like, Joel played college football, obviously, right? And then Van care about college football like
on another level,
in a much different way.
Yeah, he's an LSU dude, tried and true. You argue with him about that Joe Burrow-led team, and he will tell you that's the greatest team ever assembled. I saw those Miami squads back in the day. I saw Tommy Frazier and Lawrence Phillips and them cats back in the day. So it's like it's harder for me, but yeah, no, Van is and that's the thing, Bill. You shoot an idea to Bill, and you give him a concept, and you prove that concept along the way. He's gonna let you rock out. So yeah, it's a good time over there, and I'm looking forward to every week hanging out with them. And shout out to you too, by the way, because I just started tuning in because Spencer is terrific. But I just started tuning into his podcast. And it's his world, dog. Like
it's one of one.
Yeah. So no, man, it's a beautiful thing where you can dabble in a whole bunch of different spots. But yeah, man, shout out to the Ringer.
I tell you this, boy, y'all get y'all one more, I'm gonna start calling y'all the Ranger.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying?
See, now I wish I hadn't heard you say that. I wish I hadn't heard you say that.
We start calling it the Wrangler, and then if y'all get some more country white boys in there, we start calling it the Wrangler.
Ooh, see? This is why
That's
you
right.
at the top of this profession game.
The Wrangler, and your slogan is, we keep it tight.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for listening to The Right Time. Hey, listen, there's no more pod that needs to be done. We done talked about Southern whites, Southern blacks, what segregate. You know, the funny thing that I find, well, not funny, but the interesting thing is that what segregation did to baseball and how
Yes.
the Negro Leagues and how baseball was a staple of the community
Mm-hmm.
and how it took business away and
Yeah.
integration of baseball took baseball took business away and how that didn't happen in the same way that it happened for college football, even though the ties that bind are so authentic and so thick and
That's
so
interesting.
real. Yeah, right. Because you talk to anybody, Bob Kendrick, anybody about what Negro League baseball and what traveling and barnstorming baseball was as an economy for the community, what it was culturally. I mean, you got people suited and booted in these little bandbox stadiums, and then all of a sudden, the integration of baseball kind of takes away from that. Whereas with college football, it didn't really happen that way.
Well, the difference was they waited a lot longer to
Right.
play football with us in a lot of these places. You know what I'm saying? Like
Shout out to the
took them a
Southwest
while
Conference.
before. And then when they did let us play football with them, you know what it killed? Baseball. They was like, "Hey man, you gotta leave something for us, right?" Because remind me, you're a little bit younger than me, but not much, right? Now, how old are you now?
I'm gonna be 45 in November.
Okay, we the same age. Okay,
Right,
because I
right.
just turned 45 last week.
Yeah.
Okay,
Happy belated, by the way.
likewise, happy future. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
What I can't explain to people is what a big deal. Like baseball is my first love of anything. Like you did not have to explain nobody being black and being into baseball in any capacity whatsoever, right? City, country, wherever you were, and you look at the cats who were playing baseball, right? Like the idea that Darryl Strawberry, Eric Davis come out of South Central, right?
Right.
Like in that time period, Darryl Strawberry number one pick in the draft in 1980. So we talking late 70s, early 80s with those guys. And those guys are the athletes that would be like Dominique talks about this all the time, that he underestimated the athleticism of baseball players. And then he got cool with Adam Jones, not Pac-Man, but baseball Adam Jones. And he hooped with him and was like, oh, okay, you just like us. You just play baseball. If you remember Eric Davis, and I know that this is a guy that people of a certain age, like this would be one that I would ask Ryan about, and Ryan would say that he didn't know who Eric Davis was.
Player.
Boy, Eric Davis was something, boy.
Beautiful
he uglied
player.
it up with all that damn tobacco. Ain't nobody had more tobacco in their mouth than Eric Davis did. Eric Davis was out here hitting 20 homers, stealing 80 bases, beat colon cancer, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Davis was that dude. But these days, they look at Eric Davis and be like, what you going to be doing out here, brother, is you going to be backpedaling and covering.
Gonna get you in that slot real quick.
Yeah. Sorry, baby. We playing spring football. We don't really have time for you to be out here playing this baseball.
You talk about the 80s. For me, and Darryl Strawberry, obviously, but for me, seeing the Oakland Athletics and thinking that this is what baseball is, right? You had Dave Stewart, who was a tough ass. Like, you talk about first real, you talk about bulldog pitches all you want. Dave Stewart seemed like he was going to strike you out and then beat your ass after if you had something to say about it, right? And then Ricky Henderson, man. Like, there are a few baseball players who, if you didn't get a chance to see this person, you were excited to show them for the first time what he actually was. And even, other guy like Tony Phillips, and baseball was a part of my reckoning as a kid, where it's like, all right, during the summer, I can run around all day long, but I can come in and watch the greatest right-hand hitter of my generation play right in the backyard in Frank Thomas. So the fact that, you've got a situation now where, the Cubs are allowing certain people on the field that might not need to be on the field, and there's a dearth of black baseball players that you can actually look at and say, like Mookie Betts. Too bad he's having the season he's having, but Mookie Betts is an amazing baseball player, and Mookie Betts isn't as known as he should be.
If anybody ever lets me make something on the 91 Braves, right, or just the Braves that run in general, this is the part that nobody talks about in this date and time, okay? Left field, right field, center field. Ron Gant, Otis Nixon, David Justice. Third base, Terry Pendleton. The most underrated figure of that entire era of baseball. MVP 91, MVP runner-up in 1992, retire his fucking jersey. Like, this is not a franchise with enough history to own, where you have to make the fucking Hall of Fame for us to retire your jersey, right? Is he Dale Murphy to Atlanta? Not exactly. However,
Important.
Dale Murphy's jersey retired because he won an MVP back-to-back years. Terry Pendleton was a 1-2 finish and was the person that legitimized that baseball team into becoming what it ultimately became, right? But anyway, we got him. Rafael Belliar platooning at shortstop. You had Black Brian Hunter on first base in the platoon. All I'm saying is, that was a hot Atlanta era team, and that team was really, really black. Like, black people in Atlanta and around Atlanta, and I wasn't even living there at the time, but I knew enough to tell, were around that team. Like, that gets lost because you think about it as Glavin, Smoltz, Chipper, Maddox comes in 93, and all of those
Lopez,
things. Yeah. But no. The building of this was because it was one of the few things that whole city can get behind. One of the few things.
It was amazing when I got down to Atlanta to start my show down there in 2014. It was such a big deal. You mentioned the black outfield. They had signed the Upton brothers, and Jason Hayward was down there.
Yeah.
And it was such a big deal because, I was wondering why people, outside of Cobb County, the Braves can be cool again. And I'm like, wait a minute. What's this about? Like, I needed the breakdown, and people explained to me. And I always wondered, was it like a Washington, D.C., our name team where the brothers and sisters kind of stepped back from that thing that in a way that I hadn't known about until you talk to people in DC about it. I don't know if that happens in Dallas, but there's always these interesting pockets of like, we love sports the same way everybody else loves sports, but certain times it's like, you know what? This team don't seem like it's for us.
Yeah, but some people been spitting in our faces. I mean, Maryland football will never be good, still paying for the sins of the racism of the past, right? One of the things that me and hating ass Joel have is I grew up rooting for Texas, and Joel is of a family that could never do such a thing, right? But it's because they from around there, right? Like they from Arkansas, like the historical legacy of racism of Texas, the University of Texas athletics hits them in a way where me as somebody who moved in late, it don't quite go the same way. But if you would have asked my daddy about LSU, it took a long time before we could get on board. Nick Saban was the only reason that people wound up getting on board with LSU. But no, Texas was paying for the sins of that racism for decades. It wasn't until the 21st century that they really overcame what they were known for. Like, the reputation was they understood that they was going to integrate, and they hoped to be the last school to do it. There was a conference full of people that wanted to be the last school to do it. And a lot of folks, hey man, ain't no letting that slide. I don't even know the particulars of it, but my daddy liked that about Penn State and Joe Paterno. I never bothered to get to the bottom of it, but that's where he was.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, man. And the grand point is we make a lot of things, if not everything, better, including more money and wins for you. So put that bullshit to the side and let's get to it, though, man. Chicago, same way. The Bears had a throwback or a alternate uniform a couple of years ago that was under some scrutiny because a black player had never worn this uniform because at that time there were no black players. It was a silent band, but there were no black players on the Chicago Bears roster early on in the Hallis days. And a couple people started to bring up like, hey, you go back and look at these uniforms, some of these team photos, and these going to be the first brothers in 2021 who have ever worn this uniform. So it's weird, and it continues to be weird. And don't get it twisted. There are a lot of teams that still abide by some of those rules. They just do it in a different way.
I don't know how we wound up getting here. However, we did. But I want to stick with the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
Right? The NFC North is going to be, at least for right now, it's the most interesting division in the NFL right now. Like, I have to say, this is a really interesting NFL season coming into it. We have maybe the best coached division of all time in the AFC West. Jim Harbaugh and Pete Carroll, do not forget they don't like each other. We have that.
Yeah.
Sean Payton and Andy Reid, right? Like, we have three coaches that have won Super Bowls and Jim Harbaugh. Stop and think about that for a second, right? So that's crazy.
Wow. Now that you break it down, and also you got guys who still are doing it at a high level. Like normally you get cats who are on the other end or in that vacation tour where it's like, this is the last stop. These are still dudes doing it at the high level. The NFC North part, dude, I don't know that since the NFC Central as a kid, this was a division that had Warren Sapp, Barry Sanders, Randy Moss, Brett Favre in it at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Running around, and teams were good, teams were bad, but it was always interesting. And then there was that
Derek
malaise.
Brooks.
Derek Brooks, right? Exactly. Those Tampa Bay teams were fire. And then you get to the point where Green Bay has a run of, okay, Brett Favre is the quarterback, then Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback. So you got 25 years of contention. Minnesota was always cool. And don't forget, they go from, what was it, Warren Moon, Randall Cunningham, Jeff George, all them dudes,
Yeah.
Dante Culpepper. It was always an interesting division. This division this year, there's so much intrigue because of the quarterback positions and the coaches, like you mentioned. Like Matt LaFleur is that dude, right? Like Dan Campbell has become that dude, right? And of course, Ben Johnson is the wonderkin. And you take a look at what Kevin O'Connell was doing in Minnesota. He made Sam Darnold what a 13-14 game winner last year. So
Right.
it's a crazy place the division finds itself in, and the Bears right gonna be in the mix, but I'm not as enthused as everybody else is about this roster.
Okay, so last year, I think people got a little over their skis about how advantageous a situation Caleb Williams was in because of the weapons on the outside, ignoring that it was football and football starts on the inside. And they didn't have anybody, they didn't have anybody to block for a guy who does not play on time. That's not his game, right? Like he gets back there and he makes it happen. You watched a lot more of him than I did. I didn't think he was as bad as advertised. I thought he looked like a rookie quarterback. And I do think that the ability to kind of bring guys in the league now with like the RPO games and stuff like that, we don't see the hard knock rookie years that we used to. And I don't know what to make of hard knock rookie years anymore. Like Josh Allen, I thought had two hard knock years
Right.
coming in, and then he eventually got it right. But I don't even know what to make of a good year to start because we've seen, I mean, Robert Griffin had the knee injury to go with it, but we've seen the examples of the guys who started, like Mac Jones becomes an example. We're going to watch what happens with Bo Nix, where a guy can start off pretty good and then that not wind up being the jam. Baker Mayfield was another guy that was in that situation. But now I feel like Caleb Williams' situation is so bad, not because the team is bad necessarily, but the pressure around him has completely changed. They are absolutely the worst team in that division. I don't think Caleb Williams could go out there and play like Jayden Daniels did last year. And I think they're still probably the worst team in the division. On top of that, Big Brain Ben has come in, right? Ben Johnson was the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. And please understand, he do got a big brain. Like, I don't want to act like he's not a very good coordinator, like he doesn't appear to be a very smart dude. But it does appear that rather than cooking a system up to fit the quarterback, he seems to be asking the quarterback to fit the system, which seems to me to be a recipe for disaster.
I talked to Courtney Cronin about this on my pod last night, and it's interesting how we treat people that we are supposed to like, right? Like if somebody does that and you don't like them or you don't think highly of them, it's like, oh, what is this guy doing? But if they do it, it's like, well, this is why they hired him. You got to play it to his system. Last year, and she stated this to me, and we talked about this last year, Caleb Williams was drowning a lot more than people realize, more so than rookie quarterbacks usually have to, because one, two coaches got fired during the year, and also like he stopped being himself a little bit, right? There was a mention of the fingernail polish, and
Mm-hmm.
midway through the season, he stopped doing that.
Really?
He stopped doing that midway through the season, and if you know the story behind it, and for all the tough guys out there, oh, kids out there, his mom is a nail tech. Right. So he's been around this business his entire life. Right. And throughout the season, as things started to get tough, he started to notice, like, you know what? Maybe this ain't the attention, and maybe I also I'm in a locker room where you got a whole bunch of old cats who are looking at you, and you've been around it, Bo. You talk to
Yeah.
these dudes. It's hard for a rookie quarterback to come in a stable locker room and
Brother,
leave
brother,
30, 35
brother,
years old.
you know what he did, man. It
What do you do?
happens all the time. Cats go to court and it's the dreadlocks' fault. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I ain't doing. I can't rock. I can't.
You know what I'm saying?
I would agree. Well, I do agree. Yeah, they get in there with the African medallions, and then, you know what I'm saying?
You know, like I remember the week before.
Is everyone would go for the fall?
Week before Michael Vick got arrested, he had braids. You know what I'm saying? He showed up in the court. I'm like, damn, how you get your waves back so fast, big
with the low cut? I would go with that.
Like all that. But it's a thing, right? He's like, I need these cats to follow me. It doesn't matter if they're being ridiculous right now. I don't need to make this harder on myself than it has to be. But I'm disappointed for his own sake that he had to do that. I am.
He had to. He had a locker room full of cats look at him sideways. And also, man, he had a substitute teacher as his head coach. Right? Like he had the dude who might buy a little weed off of one of the kids as his head coach. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? You know the sub where it's like, hey man, I smell how you coming in here. After class, link up with me. I ain't gonna be here long. Right? Like that's how you straight? Nah, you smoking that Reggie. You gonna get A's, right? This dude got fired for the first time in Bears history. A coach gets fired in the middle of the season. Speaks to how they haven't evaluated talent properly over the years. There's a bunch of cats probably should have got fired. So he's been in the mix, and this whole time took 68 sacks, getting his ass whooped, and also had players doing a lot of shady body language stuff to him that have been drafted over now, right? Bears go out there and go get Luther Burden. Bears go out there and go get Colston Loveland. I would have you look at those two rooms at tight end and wide receiver and see who was doing the shrugging and the shirking and the talking crazy publicly about this dude. And the Ben Johnson part, Ben come in here like, yo, I watched the tape. All of y'all suck. So we gonna find out who can do what I need them to do. And he wouldn't have come there if Caleb Williams wasn't the quarterback. So it's a weird year. Ryan Poles got extended, and he's 15-36 as a GM. So it's the Chicago way of just saying, here goes some bread, and hopefully it'll work out in the end. I'm looking forward to seeing how the layers of the onion get peeled back and the excuses go away. Because you go out and get Joe Tooney, you go out and get Drew Dalman, you go out and get Jonah Jackson. Like you make sure the interior of that line is what it's supposed to be. Grady Jarrett just got here 17 minutes ago, and he is now a team captain. It speaks to the mismanagement of what was supposed to be, hey, we got the number one pick, and now you take off from here. I think it's a personal study going forward, and just because you get the number one pick, and just because you get that transcendent generational quarterback, whatever you want to call him, you could still end up being the Jags with Trevor Lawrence looking around like, hey, when are we going to start having this conversation? I think Caleb Williams, a year from now, when it's time to start talking about paying him, hopefully he's not in that mix. But yeah, man, it's interesting to say the least.
But what I find interesting about it, at least for him, is the fact that it's year 2 and we're making it. This is where the black quarterback thing still is a thing, right? Mm-hmm. Is when the clock starts on you. And to be fair, the Bears let the clock wind a while on Justin Fields, right? So I don't want to pretend as though what we're talking about are like straight line absolutes, which is weird, by the way, because I think the promise of Caleb Williams is greater than the promise truly ever was with Fields. Fields is a better athlete, but in terms of like watching the two of them in college, I think that Williams is probably the better quarterback, right? Yeah. But at the same time, it's year 2. He came out after 3 years of college, and we're like, if he can't get on board with this guy that's never been a head coach before, then I think he's cooked. You know what I mean? Like there's an element of that I think is a little bit crazy. But the other part is you knew what this dude was when you drafted him. And so you have to build around what he is. What I will always give the Arizona Cardinals credit for is that once they decided they were taking Kyler Murray, they did not try to turn Kyler Murray into Johnny Unitas, right? They had, he was the quarterback that fit the coach that they wanted to hire and could do the things. And they tried to do the things. You could talk about how well it worked or it didn't work, but they did not try to make that guy into somebody that he is not. I don't think that you can turn Caleb Williams, especially not somebody with the confidence that this dude had coming out of school. And I don't know what that confidence is as it stands, but you can't you're either going to work with him as the type of quarterback that he is
Right.
or he's not, right? Like, you need to coach around him, for example, like you did with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's not a guy that played on time. Russell Wilson made 8, 9 Pro Bowls being Russell Wilson. That's the way you got to do it.
Yeah. The issue is Russell Wilson had all that around him too. I think I think asking Caleb Williams to be himself is not the problem. I think what the problem is saving him from himself, understanding that these ain't the dudes you used to play against.
Right.
And in the end, asking Caleb to be himself 4 or 5 times a game as opposed to 10 to 12 times a game is going to be the difference between him looking like he's supposed to look. Like, it sounds crazy, but Ben Johnson came here to make Caleb Williams a little bit more Jared Goff in terms of, hey, when that thing ain't there, take the cheese, man. Take the free money, go check it down. We'll work our way down the field. And when everything breaks down, or if we're in a 2-minute drive, or if this is a come from behind victory opportunity, then you turn into Superman. And that's tough. Like, I always liken it to NBA talented, like super talented, you supposed to be the dude rookies, where it's like, hey man, I'm out here trying to prove this shit not only to the league but to my teammates and to myself. And you reach that point where it's like, all right, I've proven this, now let's get to the more efficient game. And the NFL seems like with these quarterbacks, these dudes are trying to prove it to everybody also while being told, hey, be more efficient immediately. Yeah, and the guys like Anthony Richardson, guys who come out and be like, "Yo, how do you not make that work? Or how does this not translate?" And professionalism and all these other things, that's cool. If cats out there, listen, shout out to Cam Newton. But when I was in Atlanta and Cam was a Carolina Panther, we called it Cam Tuesdays because you understood that that was the man, and you might see him in Atlanta even though he don't play in Atlanta, right? He was the dude. You ain't gonna tell me about what a dude can and can't do if he's producing at such a high level. Now, if Caleb gets to the point where he's producing at a high level, then yeah, maybe all the stuff will come back. I want him to be himself anyway, because in the end, if you're gonna fail being yourself. That's how
Right.
I see it. That's what we tell each other. Like, yo, don't be anybody else. The problem is being himself might get him killed out there sometimes, or we might not find out. Okay, he strung these 2, 3, 4 games together, and now the confidence can grow not only in the fan base but in the people around him. Like, it's a lot of pressure on that dude's shoulders, but this is what happens when you are a bona fide superstar before you ever play a game. Like, they had him in the NFL Sunday Night promo week 1, where they had the brick of quarterbacks behind the Sunday night. They had him as one of the dudes. And I'm like, it's a lot. And I told Chicago cats, like, we not used to this, right? Shane Matthews don't get invited to the Met Gala. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, Jim McMahon ain't out here running around going to Paris Fashion Week. He's not only ours, but he's everybody's. So you're gonna have to understand that to let him get his shit off, you gotta let him get his shit off, if that makes any sense.
Well, so I'll make this point before we go to the break. I was talking to somebody about the Cowboys doc, and it said very briefly a very important part of that San Francisco 49ers story, which was the transition from Joe Montana to Steve Young, which was not a peaceful transition. It came with a lot of levels to it, right? But what people didn't realize was they went and got Steve Young, I want to say it was in 1987 after Montana got his back hurt. And the expectation was that Montana was not going to be able to hold up. The other part that's very important in it is Bill Walsh firmly believed that Joe Montana was replaceable. And he believed as long as you do what this offense says to do, an offense, by the way, that doesn't have audibles. Everything you need is built into the play in the eyes of those West Coast guys, right? Particularly the Walsh play. And so the idea of moving on for Joe Montana for him was nothing, because he's like, what Joe Montana did was what I told him to do. And then if everything broke down, he'd scamper for a little bit. And so he's like, if I can just teach Steve Young to do everything I tell him to do, and then at that time, he's probably the best athlete at quarterback in the NFL, then imagine what that could be. And then Montana just kept being, man, get off me, dog. Get off me, dog. Right? Like, he kept doing that. And then Montana, I think, hurt his elbow. I forget when is the back, when is the elbow. But anyway, that's when Steve Young wound up getting the job. But the point I'm making is a lot of coaches, and Ben Johnson seems to fit this idea, just believe all you need to do is what I say, right? And all these guys, the Shanahan, McVay sort of school of quarterback of coaching, that believes that I just need a quarterback to do what I told you to do. Now, McVay ran out of road on that one with Jared Goff and
Yes,
was like,
he did.
okay,
I was gonna say,
I gotta go get a dude, right? And then he went and got a dude, right? And they won it that 1 year, and that's another story for this year. That dude and his bad back, and what's going to wind up happening with Stafford. But I say all that to say, I don't know if hiring the coach who believes his system trumps all was the right move for a player with the kind of flexibility in what he does as Williams is. The key to me, though, is you just got to keep his head in the game, because I do firmly believe the more that I watch football, the more I realize what's important for quarterbacks, whatever the reason is the ability to see the throw and make the throw. The shortest distance between see the throw and make the throw, and then, of course, make it once you've done it. But, connect on it. But that time difference is all the world's difference in the world. That's why Jameis Winston can look great when he doesn't look terrible, because no matter what, that boy decisive.
yeah.
He get that ball out of there, bro.
Conviction, right? It catches all the time. Talk about the pitch that I want is never going to be greater than the pitch you want to throw. So if you think that this fastball ain't going to get rocked, I know it's going to get rocked. But shit, throw that bitch. And that's exactly how you're supposed to go at it, man. Conviction, because in the end, you're going to go down in a blaze of glory either way. Might as well. And also, don't sleep on how much of a PR move the Ben Johnson hire was as well. I don't know, in the time that I've been a Chicago Bears fan, if the Bears have ever done something where it's like, man, we all want you to do this, but you're going to draft Shea McClellan, right? This is Ben Johnson, and we are looking at like, nah, that don't happen to the Bears, and it happened. So it's a PR move too.
We gonna see, man, because Big Brain Ben,
Jameson, I know.
He's good. He's good. He's good. I'm not like, there's no question that he's good, right? I loved it when we was out here throwing laterals to the offensive linemen. You know what I'm saying? I loved every minute of that.
I know.
But then when he had the worst decision maker in the whole state of Michigan,
hold
on, and this is the part I don't never talk about. The one who had just started humping the ground after he scored that touchdown. Can you imagine? Look, man, football players love each other. Because let me tell you something, man. I ain't about to bear hug you while you humping the ground, but that's what the homies had to do to save them 15 yards.
Yeah. It's going to be stapled to his resume until something else happens. Like
Right after the placing bets from the facility.
Yeah.
You remember that?
You got to have your players be able to do all things. Maybe it was for Amon-Ra St. Brown, and, he just went with Jameson on that one, man. I don't know what to tell you, Bo. Welcome to Chicago Bear football, man.
Yeah, well, look, we gonna talk a little bit more about more NFC North and NFL with Jason Goff coming up next. NFL fans, week 1 is your shot to play free and stack $1 million cash bag with DraftKings Pick 6, an official partner of the NFL. Here's how. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app, DraftKings' easiest way to play fantasy. Enter for free and pick more or less on 6-player stats for week 1. Share your link with friends to add more cash to the bag and get bonus shots to win. Hit all 6 picks and you'll be splitting a bag that's already at $1 million or more. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app, use code BOMANI, opt in free, and start stacking entries for NFL week 1. Zero cost, huge upside. In partnership with DraftKings Pick 6, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus, age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. Must claim token for free entry in bag builder contest. Only perfect entries earn share of cash prize. Tokens are single use and expire September 8th at 8:15 p.m. Eastern. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. We turn to some funny places for support, but not everyone is a therapist. Not everyone is the one. Find your right match with BetterHelp. We've all done it before, turning to our barista, hairdresser, or some random stranger in the bathroom for life advice. As fun as they are to talk with about everyday topics, when you're looking for help about relationships anxiety, depression, or other clinical issues, they may not have all the right answers. Instead, get guidance from a credentialed therapist online with BetterHelp. BetterHelp therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully licensed in the US. BetterHelp does the initial matching work for you so you can focus on your therapy goals. A short questionnaire helps identify your needs and preferences, and their 10 plus years of experience and industry leading match fulfillment rate means they typically get it right the first time. If you aren't happy with your match, switch to a different therapist at any time from their tailored recs. It's completely online, and you can pause your subscription whenever you need to and switch therapists anytime at no extra cost. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. It's convenient too. You can join a session with a therapist at the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Find the one with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/Bomani. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Bomani. All right, we're back with Jason Goff. We talked a little bit there about America's team, #OnePride,
God.
Detroit Lions. And they lost Ben Johnson, they lost Aaron Glenn, who's going to be the head coach of the New York Jets, H-Town. Wishing him the best up here with that squad, although they still the Jets, brother. Just letting you know that right now, partner. Like that.
Nothing good's gonna happen to you.
Yeah, look, man, you can't turn down the opportunity when it comes, man. But this is, you know what it is? There's a difference between an opportunity and a chance, right? He has not been given an opportunity.
Break it down.
He got a chance, right? Sometimes you got a good chance. Sometimes you got a not great chance. Sometimes the chances are slim. An opportunity is an opportunity.
Amen.
A chance is on a spectrum. And coaching the Jets, you got a chance.
Yeah.
That's it.
You got a chance to be a head coach. You got a chance to brush up on your press conference skills.
You got a shot.
You got a shot. Right, you got a couple of come from behind wins that may happen because you're not supposed to have a chance.
Yes,
Aaron Glenn is one of those. Aaron Glenn, one of my favorite football card guys too. By the way, every time I opened up a pack of Upper Deck or Fleer, I had good old number 31 wearing that Jets green running around. So shout out to Aaron Glenn, and good facial hair guy too. Right, keeps himself well maintained. I just we're gonna look back after this run, and it's gonna look like a president's aging. You know what I mean? We're gonna look at him.
Let me tell you what Aaron Glenn also appears to be to me. Aaron Glenn, and we talk a lot about how you don't need to try your pops, but he's especially the pops you don't need to try. This man's like a 5'9", 5'10" football player. He clearly be throwing up more weight than he did when he was in the NFL. He is prepared, okay? Yeah. Prepared.
Yeah. Now, always ready. You know what I mean? The kind of cat, like, Aaron Glenn looks like one of them dudes who walk up to you and the cool sayings put you on alert, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I know who hey, what's going on? Hey, can't call it, I might spoil it. Like that kind of guy. You know what I mean? Like, okay, he's being nice because he can and will break you down to your lowest common denominator.
I wish that we had more cool phrases because he's a little bit older than us, but I wish that we had more cool phrases in our vernacular from that time period because he absolutely like somebody that would go, what's going on, man? Ain't nothing, daddy. What's happening with you?
That's it.
Like he looked like he got a bunch of those in it.
Put you on notice that, hey, this can be a good interaction. I'm a cool guy, but I also come from a place where interactions sometimes switch up in the middle of them.
Yeah,
right?
like, look,
I'm
man,
down.
you see this Stone Cold Fox right here that's with me, brother, man. We just out here trying to have a nice time at dinner, but here you all over here making all this noise, you dig? So I'm going to need you to quiet down before, with all due respect, I come shut your ass up. You feel me?
Hey, you just made me think of a moment where I was at dinner probably a few years ago when I first met my wife, and somebody was getting loud at a table next to us, and old brother had the dive hat on. He was looking fresh, had his gaiters. This man leaned over and was like, hey, man, why would we mess around and make all these noise in front of these ladies when we can just go make some noise outside? And I looked at the person who he was talking to, and I was like, "Hey, abort mission, gang! Abort mission! This is not a man who said anything about going to the trunk."
Hold on. Please drop that line again.
Yeah.
Drop that line
Why,
again.
he said, he looked over, he said, "Why would we make all this noise in front of these ladies like this when we can just go outside and make some noise on our own?" And I was like, "Oh, okay," because this implies that there's going to be noises coming from outside. We just don't need to upset the women folk about this, right?
Oh my God.
And that's when I was like, "Hey man, send him whatever he want from me." You know what I mean? This is how you make friends in Chicago. Telling you, I ain't want no problem. Then come to find out, custodial arts, young man, you know what I mean? Old OG, he didn't want no problems. You know what I'm saying? I'm on my second strike. I need to chill. You know what I mean? We need more old cats like that. But now you can't really talk to the young boys the way you want to because the young boys will get out of line.
Yeah,
we in that OG era.
You're right.
You know?
That is an amazing thing. I know he didn't raise his voice even
At
the
all.
littlest bit when he said that.
It was a quiet place. We were in a place that doesn't have noise, okay? We weren't at like Nobu where things are crashing and everybody want to be... No. We were at a sit down, you know what I mean? Black napkin spot. Hey. Let's stop making this noise. I don't want the ladies to be upset by what's about to happen right here. You know, like when a man leans over and looks at you and goes, "I know what's going to happen to you. I just don't want the car ride back home to be too shaky."
Because the thing is, because what's going to happen to you is not going to stop me from completing my meal.
No, at all.
Right?
At
like
all.
I'm gonna do this thing with you.
Yeah.
They gonna come fold you up, and I'm gonna sit back down. And I was like, "So what
enjoy my meal?" Yeah. I done already Zelled the bail money to my lady, right? You know what I'm saying?
Like, baby, they gonna be here in a couple of minutes. When they come, be cool. It's fine. It ain't gonna take long. Just call this number. Call this mate.
Give me my lamb chops to go. You know,
he know what to do. He know what to do. But with the Lions, this is where I'm torn on the Lions. I think the part that we're forgetting about is the reason that Washington beat them is they ran out of players. Like, they just kept going down guys, kept going down. Jared Goff also did not have a great game, but the real issue was they were depleted by injuries. The question is whether or not they're going to be a team that is similar to the 49ers, where you have to ask, like, are you down on injuries because of something y'all be doing? Like, is this going to be a thing? Because this is a crazy physical team. And, and with the mentality they got and the head coach they got, that's the only question I have, because they were down 20-something dudes on IR or something like that to a point last year. Hutchinson's going to be back. You presuming that a lot of these other cats are going to be back. They have so much talent, top to bottom, on that team. But this is kind of the second year of their window. They went to the NFC Championship game. Last year, they were the best team in the NFC, though I think if they had to play the Eagles, it probably wouldn't have gone the way that they wanted it to. But I don't know what exactly to make. They're down to two coordinators. Like, there've been so many changes, but I do believe that as much as the coordinator thing mattered, nothing matters more than the dude they got in charge, which you never could have convinced me I would have been saying like 10 years ago.
Right. Dan Campbell went from interim coach, who was the tight ends coach, where you're like, "Oh, look at this meathead," to look at this dude rallying the troops in a way that, you got some talented cats, but let's not get it twisted. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a 4th-round pick, right? Like, Penei Sewell is one of the best players in all of sports, not just football, right? So, like, that's blue chip stuff right there. Noah Sewell, his brother, plays for the Bears, actually pretty good linebacker as well. But he's got David Montgomery. This is an Iowa State Cyclone running back who people thought in this city, all right, he's been ground to the nubs. You ain't gonna get much out of him from there on. This dude put something in crazy people known as football players that takes them to another level. What you mentioned is so important, though. When you get to the end of the season, after all the trick plays have been run, after you done beat the hell out of everybody and in the process beat the hell out of yourselves, what do you have to rely on? And I think the Aiden Hutchinson thing is paramount. Like, the fact that dude I think him as a run defender is discounted in a way that a lot of pass rushers, always, he gets sacks, but can he hold the edge? Aiden Hutchinson's a damn good run defender. They got some cats who, in Jahmyr Gibbs, like, there's so much stardom and like, oh, he gonna get 20 touchdowns every year now. Like they're not gonna surprise anybody anymore. Right? The Detroit Lions are here, and it sounds weird to say that. I'm looking forward to seeing how they come back from all those coaching departures. Like they lost Antoine Randall Ellis, lost Ben Johnson, lost Aaron Glenn. They lost a lot of people, but that dude at the top, he puts something in, he make you feel like you can run through a wall, and then you run through that wall. It's just by week 16, you're like, damn, I ran through about 4 or 5 of them bitches already. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how many walls we gonna run through? Like, when is the Super Bowl, right? And right? You know what I mean? The commanders upped and called them and had people thinking that they can mess around and go to the Super Bowl. And the Eagles is like, nah, get that shit up out of here.
Hey, let me tell you, man, the Lions, it probably felt good in the moment, but the Lions being so injured might have done a disservice to the Commandos, because the way we talk about what is possible with them would have been tempered a little bit differently if they had not won that game. And my thing with Jayden Daniels is, let's see. Right? Like, I think we saw enough to see in year 1 that he will be a very good quarterback, right? That doesn't mean he will be very good in year 2. Like, we see this happen with quarterbacks all the time, right? It's not like a running back. A running back gonna be here, and then it's gonna go here, and then one day it's gonna go like that. Right? But just about every other position in the NFL, you can look at the numbers, you can look at the production, and the numbers are going to tell you how good that player was. Quarterback is a little weird. It doesn't quite work that way. And so winning that game against the depleted Detroit Lions, that would have waxed that ass if they'd have had all their players. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the linear growth that you expect just because of sports, right? The problem is with that position, that growth is happening hopefully in a nurturing environment. You look at C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud lost linemen. He lost Nico Collins for a little bit. He lost wide receivers. He lost tight end. And you're like, what happened to C.J. Stroud? C.J. Stroud might have had as good a season as he had in his rookie year, but numbers-wise, it didn't feel that way. And wins-wise, it didn't feel that way because we just think, oh, you killed last year. You're supposed to kill this year. Well, he killed last year because he was a rookie quarterback with everything going right around him, right? I don't care what you want to say. Terry McLaurin signed a deal after saying, hey, y'all, I'm the best thing smoking out here. You go into a season like, all right, I got to do this all over again. Deebo Samuel, they made so much fun of that man and his cakes running around in them highlights, right? That he came in the training camp slim and trim. Like, there's a lot. The Commanders ain't sneaking up on anybody anymore. And then, Jayden and his offseason and people talking about the Mominger stuff like this, all eyes on you, fam. I don't know that the Commanders are going to be what they were last year. He might be a better player. They might be a better team. I wouldn't be surprised if they take a step back to a couple of wins, especially with the strength of schedule that they got this year as opposed to last year.
I just want to make this point about Deebo Samuel very quickly. Deebo Samuel has made the Pro Bowl one time, and that was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
took a running back beating his entire career.
And then that's number 2, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can't, like the same thing that happened with Cam Newton as a quarterback. You had to look at his aging arc like a running back's aging arc. Now, Deebo didn't take nearly as many carries, but I'm just saying that, like, we a little more hyped up over him than his actual production.
See, his route tree though, Bo, his route tree is carries. His route tree is 0, 1, and 2. Yeah, ain't no sluggos, ain't no deep outs. What we talking about? Hey, you about to catch this ball where the nickel cornerback is breathing on you and that linebacker about to take your head off. Okay, enjoy this 6-7 yards. You might break one, and when you break one, we're gonna be hey. But those other 3 or 4 catches that you get that are essentially carried, like that short passing game is not for the weak. Okay, can you imagine if you looked at Marvin? Well, the name that won't be spoken on this pod, and Reggie Wayne and them boys back then and said, hey, we doing nothing but 0 routes, smoke routes. Enjoy yourselves. What? you saw that those New England playoff games, and them boys was like, give me a pillow. I'm about to lay right. I am not paid to take hits. Now, if you a slot receiver, promise you gonna get that quote unquote bell rung at least 2-3 times a game because of how close to the line of scrimmage you are. Deebo Samuel been taking throw carries for his entire career. And they lost Olamide Zacchaeus, who was a terrific part of that team too. So yeah, the NFC is super weird. Like I'm always in this like, okay, you can't have a rematch in the Super Bowl, but Philly, right? And then who else? Like, what do we really talk? Like the Rams, see their odds for Super Bowl glory. Like the NFC's got this weird Eastern Conference late 90s NBA kind of vibe to it, where it's like somebody gonna come out that thing and they're gonna have to go up against either Lamar, Josh, or Patrick Mahomes. But after Philly, I don't know who you really say. Who's the second best team or third best team in the NFC that you are sure about?
The Detroit Lions.
Man, we just did this. Them boys are still broken up from last year.
You asked me if I was sure. The Detroit Lions, right? And but number 3 might be, because I got a couple things we'll hit you right quick, because I know we got to get you out of here.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm going to just say right quickly. I saw something where one of the sports books has the Vikings over under on wins this year at 8.5. That to me is a canary in the coal mine. And they won a lot of close games last year. They're throwing a rookie quarterback out there. And we're going to see, as good as they were on defense schematically, we're going to see how everybody else is maybe caught up to that with them. But like, I think they're not, I think they should be better than the Bears, but I think they are closer to the Bears than they are to the Lions and the Green Bay Packers that got Micah Parsons. And I want to take a moment right fast because I made reference to Micah Parsons being an off-ball linebacker. And I remembered watching him as a rookie be an off-ball linebacker and thinking that was pretty good. And then the comments on YouTube told me I was crazy. And then I looked a little bit more up and I'm like, oops, my bad. The Micah Parsons thing is going to be interesting to watch because they got 2 monster pass rushers, right? Yes. They got Gary on one side. They're going to have him, but teams are absolutely going to run at Micah Parsons a lot. That's what they are going to do. But they also have a quarterback who could take leap. Like I'm in on him. I understand that it's a trick or treat situation with Jordan Love, but I feel like the Josh Allen realm is possible with him, right? And the reason I say that is he is starting from a higher place than Josh Allen did. Like where Josh Allen was and where Josh Allen got to, we cannot I crossed my fingers on Anthony Richardson thinking something like that was possible, and you see how that has worked out so far. But Jordan Love had a much higher floor than I think you had with Allen, and very similar physical characteristics, physical traits, and all of that stuff. And, Allen started playing younger, but once Love got on the field, it took a little while to get up to speed, but he was looking like a guy in that class of player, right? This could be the year with that guy, and they even went and took a wide receiver in the first round, right?
And they had to. And looking at it now with their injury situation in that wide receiver room, they had to because, Christian Watson's a terrific player, but he's going to miss 5 to 6 games, right? You got Dobbs, you got Jayden Reed. They got some guys out there, but all of them have been banged up this training camp. You mentioned the Micah Parsons thing. Man, listen, you could run at him all you want, right? I think Xavier McKinney is the best defensive player that nobody talks about in the league. They got a lot of talent, and they have to win in this next 2 years. They have to, because the money that they paying out, you mentioned Rashawn Gary, who, by the way, one of them cats, like the Rudy Gay vibes, where it's like, how cold he is in college, but he don't really have to do it. And then you get to the league like, oh, this is what college was holding back. Like he was in Michigan, but he was like if I'm not mistaken, he was
number
like top. He was number 1. And every week was like, all right, here it come. He gonna be a game wrecker. And every week it was kind of like flash here and there.
Pressures. Lots of pressures.
Almost sex.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And now he is one of the better edge players in the game. Green Bay's got that whip. It's just like you mentioned, Jordan Love does have a little bit of Roethlisberger to his game. Got a little double agent. Got a little double agent to him.
A little far. Yeah, look. You got in that computer assistance. He got that. He gonna keep this close.
Tap that Y button on accident, and you sit there like, damn, I hit the X button. No, Jordan Love, you know what I'm talking about. When you look down at the control, like, oh, this is an Xbox. My bad. I keep doing this. Jordan Love, and sometimes it happens in the playoffs. That's the problem. Jordan Love went on a streak of like 5 games without throwing an interception. He gets in the playoffs. He's like, X again. We gonna get this X button rocking unless y'all make a change. Oh, wait a minute. Game is over. 3 turnovers later. Hey man, they call him J Lo and J No. All I know is as a fan of the Chicago Bears, it is far from me to be making fun of anybody's quarterback situation. So, and the Minnesota thing you mentioned, Justin Jefferson, that lower leg injury, that hamstring situation that he got going on. It's gonna be the battle of the 2 hurt dudes on Monday Night Football. Jalen Johnson and Justin Jefferson. Both of them gonna be on pitch counts because both of them got a groin and a hamstring injury. So the NFC North is intriguing across the board. I'm looking forward to. I'm glad we can stop watching and thinking about preseason and training camp and get to some actual football, man.
No, man, we about to get to some games. The Cowboys gonna be there on Thursday night against the Eagles. It'll be so funny if the Cowboys win that game.
They're going to. You know they're going to. You know that
I never know they're going to win anything.
This is what's going to happen. They're going to win that game, right? Deron Bland going to make a play, right?
That's right.
And Jerry going to be sitting there at the podium in the third quarter like, hey, where my camera at? Let me tell Micah Parsons about what we don't need over here.
Well, let me tell you this, though. The Eagles might need to be glad that Micah Parsons ain't going to be there. Now, granted, he's on the outside, and the Eagles' tackle game is strong, but Mekhi Becton's not going to be on that line. Landon Dickerson apparently is hurt. This is not the same exact team that they had. It is unreasonable to expect Saquon Barkley at his age and the workload that he has taken to be as good this year as he was last year, for example. They are loaded. Like, there's no need to discuss. They probably have the most talented roster in the NFL, but it ain't the same roster that they had last year. And I'm really curious to see what the margins are at the tippy top. Because look, the Rams gave them a game last year.
Yeah. And on top of it, when that formula is in the pot and you're looking at the chef and you go, oh, we missing this ingredient, we missing that ingredient, you'd like for your chef to be Michelin star rated. You tell me.
He is not. Hold on. That is the thing about this, man. I sent a tweet last year, early in the year. I think it's when he got into it with the fans, and I'm like, they just waiting to do the inevitable, and they still won the championship. But my opinion of this man has not changed. That's the thing I think that's hard. They're so loaded that I don't think very highly of their head coach. I don't think but so highly of their quarterback. But I will say for the quarterback, he does all the quarterback things with the finger quotes that are very important. And with the head coach, he's brash in the way where he will let his unleash the talent that they wind up having and maybe not try to cook everything up. But there's a range of how this situation might go over there.
Mess around and go 10-7. And your security guard being one of the more important people in your organization. See how that plays.
10-7, I'd get him out of there.
See if Big Dom can save you your gig. Yeah, man. The Eagles are going to be a fun story to watch. And also, the banner night, they're not going to be outside for it. Like, they all focused. All I need is to go back to the week of the playoffs where your number one wide receiver was like, the passing game is the problem.
Yo, that did happen. It is amazing to look back and realize that team won a championship.
Real Barry Switzer-led vibes around that thing.
All the stuff that we say is important, right? All the things that we say are important. Got to have a passing game these days. Got to have that kind of quarterback. Got to have a head coach that everybody believes in. All of that stuff. They were like, no, what you need is a bunch of dudes from Georgia. That's what you need. And a bunch of big offensive linemen.
That's it. It's a simple game that is made complex by fools. You know what I mean? That's the other thing that the old black homie said to the dude he was gonna go scrap outside of the restaurant. Yeah, man. Shout out to the Eagles. Shout out to all y'all Eagles fans. But it is never fun at the top until you get back to the top. And the NFL is hard to stay at the top. I look forward to seeing what's gonna happen in the NFC, especially because the Bears look and smell like an 8-win. 7-win team.
You should be happy about that.
No, for sure, man. We building. It's like a HUD home.
That is Jason Goff. Check him out at the Ranger, my brother. I appreciate you.
Always. Hey, Bo. It's always a treat when two players meet.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I appreciate that, big dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, people just don't understand, man. Just a couple cats trying to play it easy. You understand what I'm
That's
talking
it.
about, big
That's
dog?
it. That's it. That's it,
You know,
man.
we out here just keeping the main thing. You feel me?
That's it, brother. Shout out to
All right.
Ryan Brumley too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining here on the right time. You know what I'm saying? We do this thing about 3 times a week. Ryan Brumley, real cool cat, handles everything behind the scenes. Appreciate you, big dog. Remember, you can follow the right time. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. Is how I know you ain't got no car. You out here walking while we cruising. And we talk to y'all in a couple of days. Take it easy.